Hello, everybody. How are you today? It is Allison, your kitchen and bath design specialist, teacher, educator, mentor, all things kitchen and bath. I wanted to go through a couple of things today. I put a note in the group the other day about the bathroom being the most dangerous room in the house and how deadly it is. So, falling and hitting your head, things like that. So, talking about the bathroom, I'm working with a client of mine, and I have a couple of things going on with her kitchen and also with her bathroom. So we were talking about the zero drains in the sink, the kitchen sink, bathroom sinks, and it's called a zero drain. And I'm talking to her and I'm saying, yeah, the zero drain, blah, 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 this and that. So it's a new type of a drain that's out there from the manufacturers. Now, the drain being you have your hot and your cold and your whatever, and the drain on the bottom of the sink. In the bathroom, the faucets come with the sink, the hot and cold, the spout, and the bottom stopper. Okay, for the most part, they come with that bottom stopper. In a kitchen, it comes the faucet, but the bottom stopper is something separate. So it's the bottom stopper, the way that they're made in the past versus the way that they're made now. And I have a really good video of it because there were two different types of drains, and they were both called a zero drain. So she was talking to me about hers, and I was talking to her about mine. There were two different drain styles. So I thought that we should discuss the difference in the drain styles. Now, her faucet is from California Faucets, which is a high-end faucet company, custom made. It's all made to order. Okay, so we've got California Faucets, and my faucet is from DXV. So DXV is the higher the luxury brand of American Standard. So you have American Standard, and then the DXV, which is owned by American Standard, is their luxury brand. So we have two luxury faucets, two high-end faucets, but two completely different drain styles. Now, if you've ever gotten a clog in your sink, now a lot of times the sink bathroom gets clogged from your hair, or things could fall in there or whatever. Now, the old type of spout was one where you would pull up the lever and the spout would go down, and if you went underneath, there was a metal bar and another little thing, and they had to hook together, and they all went up and down like this and always falling apart. That drain would come loose, the drain would have problems, and if that drain came out, it never went back in properly. So now we have these two different drain styles, zero drain styles, one DXV and one from California Faucets. Now let me see if it is going to cancel. I'm not sure how to get it to share with me the screen, because let me see if this will, it's even playing it. So you know what? I'm not going to be bothered with this. I'm just going to take my little camera and I'm going to put it up to the screen, because there's no sound. Okay, so let me just pause this. Okay, so this is my client's drain. Let me just get it big. Let me hit pause. Let's see if you'll be able to see that. Okay, so this is her drain. This is from DXV. So she's popping it up. It's black, so it's a little hard to see. And she's going to grab it up. And see how the drain comes out? So any clogs that are going on in that sink, you just pop that right out, and all the hair and everything comes out of that. So I'll play it again. Push it down, stops the water, push it back up, it opens up. You can grab it now, pull it out, release any hair or goo that gets in there, and then put it right back in. So that is from California Faucets. Okay, so we have California Faucets. Now, mine is not the same. It's DXV, so it's very high end, but it's a different, and it pops up, pops down, the same thing. You push it down, you push it up. But what happened was I had a clog. I had a clog. I didn't know how to get it undone. I went online. I tried to see how is this assembly of the train, the trap, the drain. How can I get the hair out? I'm all confused. So I know that I couldn't use my plunger because every time I plunged, it pushed the drain down. So what do? I said, you know what? It started to turn a little bit. And I said, I've got no choice. My water's not going down. I'm going to turn it and I'm going to do my drain and see what happens because I just can't get the water out. So my drain, being the pop-up, is also a very good drain, but it's different. So here is the DXV. This is the DXV. So you see how much rounder? It's a about a 2-inch drain. Let me just click play. So see, push it down and the water stops, push it up and the water goes through. You have to unscrew. That piece actually comes off. And there, inside there, is where the little, see how you can, the hair gets trapped right in here. So all I had to do was pull out my clog, was right at the top, and then that piece screws back on. 1, 2, 3. So that's how you clean these drains. They're now easily cleaned from the top. Easy to get that hair out, easy to get the messes out, and there you just pop it back up and the water goes down. Those are the new types of sink drains that are out there. And I thought that that was fascinating because it's such a better idea, because the hair, and I'm like, it's just me. I don't shave. I'm just brushing my hair. How much debris could be in there? As soon as I unscrewed it, there was a big clump of hair and I was able to pull it right out. So I wanted to just review the two different things with those two different types of drains that are available on the sinks now, the bathroom sinks. So that's important to look at. So when you're buying a better sink faucet, bathroom faucet, the reason you're paying more are for all the little details like that. Not only is it a nicer, better quality, but it is easier to maintain. That DXV faucet had to be one of the easiest faucets I've ever had to install. I always do my own installation. My husband and I like to work on that. It was the easiest faucet to install. The handles were easy as a lever handle. I didn't have to play around with getting them to be front and back. So the time to install the faucet was that much simpler because it was a better faucet. So that's the difference with the faucets. And then I'm working with her in her kitchen, and we're working remotely for the most part. She's in Brooklyn. I'm in Long Island. So here we are. She picks out her countertop. It's a Caesar stone, solid surface, man-made material, a man-made quartz material. Very pretty, beautiful. And then she has the stainless steel sink. So we are familiar with the top-in drop-down sink. We're familiar with the undermount sink. There is this style of sink. It's years ago we had a tile-in sink, so you'd kind of like put that sink in and you could tile up to it, whatever was called tile-in. Now this is called a flush mount, and it actually is a flush mount sink. I should get this. And what happened is, I knew when she's talking about this flush mounted thing, and I'm like, that sounds really good, like a really nice option, but that's tricky to install. That's tricky for the contractor to cut the rim for it. I'm thinking, you know what? She's going to have a problem. But, she wants the sink. It's in the vendor's showroom. Now, again, I have pictures because I can't get on the computer so well. Did I download it? Let me see. No. In the vendor's showroom, in the kitchen supplier's showroom, he has this sink in their working showroom. And of course, if it's a working showroom, I like to see that how is it over time? How is it if it's used for come on, every day? So, not sure if you could see this. Let's get this. Let me get this up to my camera. Now, I hate this. Can you see it? It's hard to see because it's a light countertop, but there's the metal lip and it's flush with the countertop, and then that's where the sink drops in. So it's this seam with the stainless, and it gets flush in like that. Okay, do you know how exact that cutout needs to be for that sink to sit there properly? So I'm thinking to myself, she wants to have this sink have it work like that, and it's very good, and da, da, da. Well, it's a whole mounting system, and it has support brackets, and it has this in here. Let me see if I can live studio. Let me see if I can share this screen. Miele sinks, my window. No, where is it? Here it is. Let's share this. Okay, so I'm sharing this screen, and it goes drop in. But here, if you see, it's the sink. We're gonna have the sink. It has some silicone, and there is your support brackets. And you have to route it. Then you put the support brackets, then you caulk it, and then you drop the sink in. So you can see it has support brackets, and then it goes in. So there, we cut out the template. You put in the support brackets, more silicone, drop the sink in, and it's flush. Well, the point of it is you need to have a installer that's familiar with working with that type of a sink. We know how to do it. We don't need the install kit. We've got it. We've got it. Beautiful countertop goes in. Where's that sink? It can't go in. It's not right. It has a gap all around. They made a mistake. They cut the sink. A stainless steel, special order stainless steel sink. Miele, it's called Mila. That is the brand of the sink that we were looking at that has that flush mount. It's Mila International. Okay, Miele. I think they're made in Israel. So they're made in Europe somewhere. Anyway, if they're made in Europe, what does that mean? That means they are not in stock, more likely. And then what does that mean? That means that my lead time, I have a lead time to get this sink. My sink, which we picked out and ordered months ago, has been sitting there. Now they screwed up the sink because it's damaged, because they caulked it all over and it's got cooked all over it. And they actually, I don't know how they actually cut the sink, stainless steel sink. There's a hole in it. They made holes in it. Clearly, this fabricator had no clue what they were doing with the sink. And instead of saying, I don't really know how to do the sink, or saying, you know what, let me look up the video. Let me really look into this before I start cutting out my stone, which has to be special ordered from Caesar stone. And we have to buy a full slab. We can't not buy a full slab. You have to buy full slabs of this material. And that's why the fabricators do not have this material in stock. It's in stock at Caesar Stone's 100,000 square foot warehouse in Virginia, in Texas, in California, in the Midwest somewhere. They've all got their stock, but it has to come from the supplier has to order the piece of stone from Caesar Stone, and that has to order paperwork has to go through. The has to come in, the material has to be shipped, it has to be delivered, it has to be set up, it has to be cut. So time, that's all time. Then we've got the sink. So the sink that took 4 to 6 weeks to get is now a piece of garbage because they totally didn't put it in right, didn't get the kit, didn't cut the hole right. Whatever they did, it was all wrong. So my client now, what do? I said, I knew this was going to happen. Why? Because it's different. It's a different kind of an install, and it's not common. Once something is not common, the installers are not familiar with it. The fabricators are not familiar with it. Everybody goes up into arms because they haven't taken a course on how to install it. They haven't met with the sales rep. They haven't watched the video. They're just used to things coming across top mount, undermount, top mount, undermount. Follow the template, follow the cut, bump, bump, bump. The minute you deviate from what they're doing normally, you are causing a hiccup, a glitch in their system. A glitch means room for error. That's just the way it goes. It's the nature of the business. So now we have a certain the sink size is predicated on the sink base size. So she, being the small kitchen in Queens, we had to go with a sink base 27, which we can get. It's a frameless cabinet. We can get a nice sink in there, 25 by 22, whatever. But the point is, now we have the sink. Whether she replaces it with the same Miele, which happens to be a 16 gauge sink. It's a good sink. Or is she going to go with the Frankie? Does she go with the Blanco? Does she go with the LK? She's got choices of sinks, but the thing is the lead time, the size that it's going to fit in your base, the material that you want, the stainless steel, the quality of the stainless steel that you want. Stainless steel is rated by gauge. The higher the number, the thinner the gauge of stainless. So when you have a stainless steel sink, you're going to have an option 16 gauge, you'll get 18 gauge, and then the cheapy sinks are going to be 20 to 22 gauge. So again, if you think 18 gauge is more because the higher number, it's the opposite. The lower the number, the thicker the gauge of the stainless. A sturdier stainless, it's not going to dent, it's not going to be hollow sounding. And then you also want to look at the undercoating of the sink, the soundproofing. It's not just a thin, they're all going to say, yeah, it's soundproof, but one person's soundproofing is not the same as another person's soundproofing. So like anything else, you get what you pay for in this business. You get what you pay for. So you would think, oh, it's just a stainless steel sink. We can get that in stock. It's a color. We can get it in stock. We're just going to get that material. We're going to replace it. We're going to recut it. She had this countertop installed 2 weeks ago. By the time they got there to come and take a look at it, by the time they got the men to pull it out and rip it out, and because they've decided to rip it out because you can't fix it, by the time they get it ripped out, by the time they figure out what they're going to do, we're talking 3 weeks already. She has no kitchen countertop for 3 weeks. Usable. It was in there, no sink hooked up, because it couldn't get in, wasn't able to be installed. So all this time has gone by for my client. Okay. Now, this is all nobody's fault. Maybe you could point it's the installer's fault, it's the fabricator's fault, it's this fault, but things happen. This is the business. That's why anyone who tells you they could do a kitchen in 2 weeks is like, okay, make it 6 and I'll talk to you. Then there's another problem in her kitchen. And this is the reason why I educate the designers, because you need to realize how do if I'm working with a kitchen dealer, if I'm working with a plumber supplier, if I'm working with a granite person, that person in their business, and should be you in your business, what's my biggest profit margin? What am I going to make the most money on? That's what I'm going to sell you. I'm going to sell you the one that I make the most money on. I'm not going to sell you the one that's you see on this, on the top shelf that's the cheapest. I'm going to sell you the one that has the most profit in it for me, because I need to keep my doors open. I need to pay my electric, my insurances. I need to pay my gas, my services, whatever, my website. You have bills to pay. So if a vendor, the vendor says to her, and I know it's completely wrong, at least I think it's wrong. If I'm wrong, it's going to be the first time I've ever heard this in my business. She puts I design the kitchen, they put the kitchen, I'm working with the manufacturer's rep, that dealer in Brooklyn near here, back and forth, but I'm not putting in her order, right? So I'm not putting in her order. When she gets her kitchen, and I go through all the cabinets and I go through the finish and I make sure everything's correct, and I said, make sure this, and this, hinge left, hinge right, finish left, finish right. She gets the kitchen in and they're putting everything in, and 3 cabinets are missing. Then the dealer says to her, oh no, the manufacturer didn't manufacture them because they ran out of the laminate. Okay, now we're talking about Omega Cabinetry. This is a national multi-million dollar master brand, or whatever the company, Omega, that owns Omega. Omega has been around 30 something years. They're a fabulous cabinet company. I cannot for the life of me imagine that they ran out of the laminate. It's a laminate cabinet. So if it's a plywood cabinet, plywood doors, the laminate's on the plywood or the MDF and it's already there. They don't even have the boxes ready. Now, a box material is completely different than the door material, the way that they manufacture the 4x8 panels and how you manufacture a door. So the boxes for the cabinets aren't even ordered. You know what that means to me? That means to me that those 3 cabinets got left off the order for whatever reason, and they could have been on the order. Okay, let's say they ordered the cabinets, but the manufacturer's acknowledgement came through, and that's where the 3 cabinets were left off. Okay, so 3 cabinets were left off of that order. So now that's why the 3 cabinets didn't show up. I've never in my life heard of cabinets running out of laminate, and they can't make the boxes even. So I find it very hard to believe that manufacturer didn't order the cabinets because they're the material. There's a problem with the material. When you order a kitchen, people don't realize. I'm just going to show you a kitchen order that I have. Now, I do my work the old-fashioned way. Okay, before we do everything by computer, look at my folders. Look at these papers. If I was to get my kitchen order out or anything, they're pages of paperwork, pages of numbers, Kitchen numbers are little tiny numbers that come along on a piece of paper, and the acknowledgement is filled with all this information that you have to. Here's an acknowledgement from a custom manufacturer. Now, you see this? I had to go through. This is one order. See my order? All these different pages. Now, if to acknowledge my order, this isn't an Omega order, this is someone else, I have to check every single item on this page. You see my check marks? I checked it, I checked it, I checked it, I checked it, and then I sign it. And I have to do that with every single page in this, whether it's a cutlery divider, it's pages, details, details. And this has to be sent in a time, within a certain amount of time, before they start just putting it into production. It's very complicated. So typically in a kitchen place, you're going to have somebody called an expediter, and they're going to be checking your orders and things like that. So if you are a kitchen designer and you have an acknowledgement that comes across your desk, you need to drop everything. I don't care what you're doing. You need to stay late. You need to do whatever you need to do and check through every single line item on that order form, because that is critical to your project. So now my customer is sitting there because they have to order the cabinets again. All right. It was all during Christmas time. There was delays. So we're waiting for the cabinet. The 3 cabinets that were left off, we're now waiting for 3 cabinets. What does that mean? She can't install her crown molding. She can't install her microwave because it's the microwave that goes underneath the cabinet. She can't install her range because they don't want to hook up her range, because they're just going to have to pull it out and make marks on the floor, and they might as well leave well enough alone. So she's sitting here with her kitchen that's been worked on. No countertop had to be removed from from the sink. The sink is no good anymore. They damaged the sink. The wall cabinets never came in. We're waiting for wall cabinets. She still needs to install her microwave. She still needs to install her oven. She'll need to install her sink, her faucet, her dishwasher, and she still needs to do all her trim, crown molding, and light rail, and she can't finish her backsplash tile. So she's waiting on all these things now, and it's a bunch of people's different faults, okay? This is something that can happen. This is reality. There's nothing that anybody could stop this from happening unless it was all really, really well, 100% coordinated, 100%, I mean, so tightly run that none of this would have happened. Because there's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of different fields of trades. There's men working. Then the guys who were coming in made dust, which got underneath the paper lining her new flooring that she put in. It's a luxury vinyl tile. So now there was all grit underneath there. She's like, oh my God, don't mess up my luxury vinyl tile, because that can scratch. So that's why you want to get a better scratch layer on your vinyl tile. You don't want to get a cheap vinyl tile, luxury vinyl tile, because it's the millimeter of plastic that covers the top. That's going to give you your scratch resistance. So that's what's going on with her kitchen. Okay, so we talked about the drains, these really cool type of drains, and that's why you're buying a better bathroom faucet, because you're having these really better, like I didn't have to call in a plumber to take apart anything to get my clog. I was able to get rid of that myself, because I felt it turn, and I said, screw it, it's clogged. I'm just going to turn it. Let's see what happens. And lo and behold, my clog was right there. So we talked about that special sink with the flush mount, and doing something different and throwing something different to your fabricator that they're not used to doing. And, fabricators have their guys in the shop. Some guys in the shop stick around. Other guys in the shop come and go. So we've got the people who have been working on this material are also going to know, are not necessarily the ones who did that beautiful fabrication of that sink that's in that dealer's kitchenette that they use all the time. That fabricator could be long gone. That person who did the install could have been long gone. It could have been the person doing it wanted to make a good show for the showroom, so they did extra special care because they want to be their fabricator. Um, there's lots of different reasons why things happen the way they do. So that we're going to talk about, that's her kitchen. So at the same time, we're doing her bathroom because they butt up to each other. So we're going to gut the bathroom and the kitchen at the same time. They're like 50, 60-year-old rooms, and we did them all over. Okay, so they do their putting, she's putting in this wonderful, it's a little postage stamp of a bathroom, not even 5x7, more like 6x4.5. She used this new system called Armada. The Armada air system is a jet system that is like a vent in the ceiling, but it blows air, dries everything all off. Now, if it was me and I was selling her the Armada system, I would have given her a diagram that I drew up. And I would say, because they're little it's 3/4 tubing. Okay, so you have your motor. Think of it as like your motor, your air bath. Okay, so think of it as an air bath without the bath. You have your motor, remote located motor, and then your 3/4 tubing, which blows air. So an air bath is going to blow the air into the bathroom to make bubbles, where this is actually blowing air to dry things. So it's not dried for, it's not a hot air. I don't think it's heated. I don't think anything special. It's just this burst of air that will dry your whole entire bathroom in like 3 minutes. You turn it on, dries everything off. I didn't sell it to her, so I didn't do a drawing. I just said, if you're going to buy it from Joe Schmo should do the drawing for you, right? So I don't know this Armada system. He's the one with the specs. He's the one who knows. He's selling it to her. They should give her something. So they didn't, and whatever they give her, this nozzles, 3/4 nozzles that can go on the wall so they can blow out, they can blow down, you wouldn't really want it to blow up. You want it to blow out or down. You could do a combination so they can go wherever you want them to go, and they're spaced X amount of inches apart, however many you're supposed to have for your particular square footage of space. Well, they didn't put the pipes in the right way. The guy put the holes in. They had to rip her ceiling apart and put the holes, get new holes. Then they had something else with the vent. They had to rip the ceiling apart and put it in again. Then they had to do something in the kitchen. They had to rip the ceiling apart and do it all again. This is ongoing things because one person didn't do something right, put it in the wrong space. So when they come to close everything up, it's not in the right spot, blah, 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 blah. So it's so important. Now, if she had paid a project manager 15% of her total job, which would have been a ton of money, that project manager would come in there and make sure that everything is running smoothly, double checking this, double checking that, and make sure everything running smoothly, coordinating all the different trades from everybody. But people don't do that. So this is just the problems that she's having with different types of product that's coming out there that we think it's fabulous as designers and consumers. We think it's a great idea, this air system going to dry everything and eliminate the mold. But these things are different items, different products, different installations. So it throws everybody for a loop, okay? It throws everybody for a loop, and they all get confused, and nobody knows what they're doing anymore. They make a mistake all the time. So, I mean, I've had things where I've put the X on the wall and said, make the hole here, and they never put the hole there. I mean, how much stupider could you be? So it's hard. This is a hard business to deal with. And making things work, making all the pieces fit together, making all the parts go. And it's very technical, and it's important to know the product and to know the procedures and to know this information ahead of time so that you're not at the mercy of the supplier. You're not at the mercy, because otherwise we would just be the homeowner who, you need to know more than the homeowner. You need to know as much as you can about as much as you can about everything you can in this business. So the more you know, the more knowledge you have. Knowledge is confidence. Confidence is a brand that sells. So always gaining knowledge. And before I get off, I wanted to just make one little note. A couple of weeks ago, I made a mention of about this $53 million penthouse in Manhattan somewhere in a new building. It was beautiful. Blah, blah, blah. They show all the pictures. 53 million penthouse. And there is a bank of switches, regular toggle switches, not toggle, the Decora switches. Now, if those aren't 100% 90 degrees, level, they'll drive me nuts. And first of all, I can't stand banks of anything more than two together is a pain in the ass, as far as I'm concerned. So my friend, my home automation person comments in, why am I seeing those switches on this wall? He's right. I shouldn't see those switches. Those switches should be in a remote area that I don't see those switches, because I should be able to control everything from my phone. I should be able to turn my lights on. I should be able to have voice activated. I should be able to have a panel. I should have a nice panel, the electronic panel, like an iPad, something like that. It should look really sleek and really contemporary. I should not have Decora switches in the middle of my bar, in the middle of my living room. I just shouldn't have that. I shouldn't see that. It's a big no-no. Ugly, ugly. So I'm talking to my granddaughter. Okay, here we have my little 8-year-old granddaughter. Oh, let's talk Barbies. We're talking old school, new school, how Barbies used to be made, blah, blah, blah. You had one Barbie and a bunch of clothes. Now you have 25 Barbies and no clothes. There's no, you don't buy outfits really. So her birthday is coming up. She goes, I want she says to me, Aubrey, she's very serious. I like my Barbie playhouse, but I want to get a new Barbie playhouse. And I said, well, why do you want a new Barbie playhouse? She goes, well, because they have the house like that. You tell it to do this, and you tell it it's an automated Barbie house. So who are the automated housing going to be for? When my granddaughter is going to buy a house in 20 years, at 28 years old, maybe, or move in somewhere, these youngins are going to be expecting everything to be automated. We have to catch up to that as designers. So, if the older you are as a designer, the more you have to educate yourself on the new technology trends, because that is running after us at a full speed, that even a Barbie playhouse is a smart house and you can talk to it. So we have to get on the bandwagon of learning our technology. I don't even like to use Alexa for my television. You could talk into the remote. Hey Alexa, channel so and so. I can't even get that right, so I give up on that. But the only thing is, like, say, hey Siri. That's it. I can't even say it. My phone will hear me. So I've had a lot to talk about today. That zero drain, that flush install sink, and the problems with installation, the problems with the manufacturer leaving things off of your acknowledgement, how important that acknowledgement is, that you need to check it off and sign it and send it back. And again, why that acknowledgement is important? Because if it depends on whose fault is it. I didn't see it, so it's my fault. But if they made a mistake because they left it off, then it's their fault. or they wrote it wrong. But if I signed it and I said, let's say they had a WBW, whatever they're standing for, and I know, and they sent me acknowledgement WBM. Well, an M and a W, two completely different things. But if you check off the wrong one and you say, oh no, that's the right one, well, guess who's paying for the right one? You are, because you checked M. Just because they interpreted it wrong doesn't make it their mistake. It's your mistake. So it's always a matter of whose fault is it and who's going to pay for the fault. I had read somewhere that somebody was delivering, I don't know, something that was custom made and it took a long time to get, and the movers moved in and damaged the walls, damaged the floors, and now, every who doesn't want to take responsibility for it? Isn't that the way? It's not my fault. It's not my fault. It's not my fault. That's why when you're working on homes, the builder, well, you're going, well, now I've got a problem. He goes, well, the tile guy, well, I did a good tile job. That sheetrock is no good. The sheetrock's no something wrong with the sheetrock. The sheetrock guy go, well, I did perfect. Sheetrock was in perfect order. That must have been the studs. The studs might not have been good. The guy putting up the studs says, I did all my studs are level. I did a great job installing my studs. So then they go, well, it could be the foundation. It's the foundation's fault. Well, I put in a good foundation when I went in there. Well, you know what? Whose fault is it? It's God's fault. It's God's fault because the foundation settled and now everything is a mess. So nobody likes to take responsibility for it. So you know what you can do for yourself, for your business, for your personal life? Take responsibility. If you made a mistake, say you made a mistake. But don't say, I don't know. I didn't make a mistake. It's not my fault. I had no clue. Blah, blah, blah. People don't want to hear that. People want to hear, I have a problem. Let's resolve it. What's the fastest way possible? So now I'll keep you posted with my poor client in Brooklyn, because now we're on the saga of the sink, getting a new sink. And we all know that it's not just because of COVID. We still haven't caught up with things. Special orders are 4 to 6 weeks out. So my heart goes out to my client. There's really nothing I can do about it, but pray that all goes well for her. And keep you posted. And I'll let you know which sink she decides to go with. The reason she didn't want the undermount sink is because she didn't want that undermount sink to be the granite to come too far over it. She wants it to be the same level, the sink and the top at the same. She doesn't want to overhang. So that's what she doesn't like about it. And that's why you always have to say, well, what don't you like about that? Tell me about that what it is that you don't like. And this way I can help you make a better decision. So anyway, that's where we are with that. And that's where we are with those, and da 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 da. And I hope that you enjoyed my little video of the drains. I found that fascinating, those new drains. Again, those were California Faucet was the black faucet, where she unscrewed it and the whole thing popped out. And mine was the DXV, which is a larger drain cover that I had to unscrew to get to clear out my clog from my drain. So very good information today. I hope let's see, this is in this restream. Let's hope I didn't glitch anything and I get off properly. And listen, you guys, have a wonderful weekend. Have a great day. And I love you guys. Peace out. Keep on learning. Knowledge is power, and power is confidence. Confidence sells. Okay, guys. Peace out. Ciao for now.